What's going on, guys? D&T in the 773 back with another video. We're discussing week one recap. Awesome Bears win. The offense wasn't the best, but Dan, how you feeling today?
I feel good. A couple days
Yeah,
after, had some time to digest the win,
I agree.
focus on the memes. You know what I mean? Memes going around of Will
Yeah,
Levis, just the right. But yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good. How about you? How do you feel?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, obviously, like you said, just had a few days to, soak in kind of, all the, what happened with week one. I know, obviously, me and you watched the game together. We were kind of discussing what was going down during the game. Bears defense had a huge game. They really showed up in week one. Offense is still, kind of grasping, the different, different angles they need to take, especially in a regular season game. But we'll, obviously dive into that with
hmm
everything.
But
We got a
what's new?
full, yeah,
What's new? Right? Bears defense thriving. Bears offense working out the kinks.
yeah. So let's get into it with our week one recap. So, obviously last Sunday at noon, that was the Bears home opener for week one in Soldier Field. Really exciting game. Obviously it was huge hype ever since May, since the game was announced. And the Bears are going to start the season on a 1-0 record with the win against the Titans. They ended up beating the Titans 24-17. Was it a pretty game? By no means. No, was not pretty at all. A little scary at first. We'll dive into detail about what happened during the game, everything like that. So Dan, pre-game reactions. What did you expect going into this game?
I was excited. I mean, the same thing we talked about last week. I was excited to just see Bears football,
Mhm.
regardless of how the play is. Right? It always gets down to that 15-minute timer before the NFL kicks off on Sunday. I
Mhm.
was extremely excited, and I didn't have extremely high hopes. Like I had just medium high hopes. I was just ready for football. But I got to be honest. Like after the day was over, I was pretty content with where we were and where we stand and how the team played. I think there's a lot to work on for next week, but I mean, how did you feel? Football's back, Tyler.
I was
The
so
best time of the
excited
year.
going into this game. It's been, watching those preseason games, obviously with the hard knocks and everything like that. It was so exciting, getting, ramping up this season, Caleb, all these different, pieces on the offense, Rome Odunze, DJ Morgan, that huge contract extension, DeAndre Swift coming to the team. It's an exciting, first game for the Bears. Like we said before, unfortunately, the offense didn't really click. We'll dive more into detail into that. That defense just thrived the whole entire time
hmm
with the Titans, and it was just it was marvelous to see the Bears defense, go to action, go to work. The monsters in the midway finally, get not finally, but they've been just crushing it. This defense. And even Caleb even said during preseason and stuff like that, this defense is a force to be reckoned with. It's a talented defense.
Yeah, people need to beware, right? This Bears
Mm-hmm.
defense it finished off in the league last year, top five in most categories. So
Yeah.
I don't see why we can't pick up where we left off, adding some new pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like you said, Dan, I hate to say it, but a win is a win. And we did end up beating the Titans 24-17, which was a huge week one win. Week one wins are very big. Obviously thinking of a different team that did not get that week one win that I'm just thought of at the time I had the Cincinnati Bengals. They played the New England Patriots, who were only projected to have like 4 wins, and
hmm
Bengals did not get that week one win at home, which was huge. And a week one win at home, or even a win at home, is big for any roster,
It's
any
huge. I
team.
mean, look at Green Bay, right? I mean, neither
Mhm.
team played home on their game, but that's just another team in the loss column that helps us,
Mhm.
look for the future. And I'm just excited because starting off on a win is huge, especially when you start off on a win like that defensively.
Yeah.
That just shows that we don't have many kinks to work out. The defensive end does their job; they play their part. So it's just gonna be exciting to see how we when we dive into this, what parts we think could excel a little bit better
Mhm.
next week.
Yeah. So let's dive into detail with the week one game against the Tennessee Titans. So to start off the game, the Titans did start with the ball to kick off the season. The Bears defense started off really strong, held them to a 3-and-out, and the Titans were forced to punt the ball, which is, huge momentum starting the game for the defense, get that train rolling for that defense. And it's a big, 3-and-out is always big to start a game.
True.
Yeah. So then the first possession for the Bears offense unfortunately did end in a 3-and-out. On 3rd and 3, Caleb scrambled out of the pocket. Looked like a great throw that was right to DJ Moore, but unfortunately he was just a little bit short of DJ Moore. So they were forced to punt the ball back to the Titans. Tory Taylor, obviously a huge 4th round pick Bears management did, take that gamble on, getting a punter that early. But you know what, being at Iowa, being that basically the offense and the defense for the Iowa, the Hawkeyes, he shined with his first punt
He
was a
did.
50-yard booming punt. It unfortunately did
It looked
roll
good.
into the back of the end zone, but that a 50-yard punt is a booming punt.
It's just cool because he's ready, right? He doesn't need any work. He just comes in ready, and that's just one of the premier players that we got this offseason. And he's still super young, and he didn't have that incredible of a game, but it just showed immediately by his first punt how much power he can put on there and how he's going to be deadly a lot of the special teams cases in the future here.
Yeah, I agree. So then the next possession for the Titans, once again, the Bears defense did come out with another 3-and-out. So 2 3-and-outs in a row, which is huge, momentum. Keep getting that momentum rolling with the Bears defense. But, the big point of this is we got to keep that offense on the field so that defense doesn't get super tired. That's a big part of, of winning these games, because you see all these games where the defense, sticks on that field for way too long, 9-minute drives, 8-minute drives, whatever it is, and they just all get gassed. Especially, it was a nice 75-degree day at Soldier Field, but if it was a 90-degree day, this defense would have been already gassed after 2 3-and-out, or if it wasn't 3-and-outs.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, but yeah, special teams I think thrived in the first half, right? Like here we have new punt returner DeAndre Carter. Was doing most of the punts after, we heard. We'll talk about it more of the other player in the room who kind of had a mishap. But DeAndre Carter again came in, and I think the special teams looked really good in the first half. Again, the offense, it's at a position that we expected them to be slow, get off to a slow start. Unlike the way we saw them go off against the Bills and the Bengals in the first 2 drives, it was a bit, underwhelming, I'd say. And also there's the excitement there to watch football again, and you want to see the Bears complete some plays and make some throws. So that was a bit tough, but he returned the first punt, DeAndre Carter, for 16 yards, and the second punt found himself going for 20. So he had a pretty good day. I mean, the first 2 punts weren't spectacular, but going on later on, like he had a pretty good day, and I think we'll see a lot more DeAndre Carter this season.
Yeah, that was a big, not a big addition, obviously, but that was an addition the Bears had in the offseason, DeAndre Carter, coming and, returning punts. And that was because that was a big thing last year. I believe it was like Dante Pettis returning punts last year. I don't know if Felix Jones was returning punts, but I'm not 100% sure. But
probably.
I just don't remember if
probably.
he
punts.
Yeah. But
he didn't do much else.
We saw a lot last year where, the punt returners were just either doing a fair catch or letting the ball roll. And sometimes, letting that ball roll can either, bite you in the butt or just, it can roll back in the end zone and get back to the 25-yard line. But DeAndre Carter did have a great, week 1 game, gained those punt returns, 16 yards and then 20 yards, which is huge. So the next possession for the Bears, the offense starting rolling, but just a little bit for the Bears. DeAndre Swift rushed for 7 yards on the first play, and then Caleb had a play to Keenan Allen on the left sideline where Allen was 1-on-1 with the defender. Safety kind of came in there, but Caleb Williams accidentally overthrew Allen by. When I was looking at the video, it looked like about 4 or 5 yards. So. Just looked like Caleb was a little antsy in that pocket. He wanted to make the good plays, especially when he was rolling out and stuff.
Yeah, typical for sure. And
it's
very typical. And again, there were some expectations we had for the receivers. The receivers caught most of their passes. A lot of the ones that they didn't catch were pretty much overthrown by Caleb, which is, again, an expectation, but those are things that they're going to try to work on. And then what happened at the end of this play here?
4th and 3. This was big momentum for Bears offense. We didn't know if they'd stick on the field at 4th and 3. Shane Waldron decided to keep his offense on the field, and Caleb Williams completed a 5-yard pass to Keenan Allen to pick up his first career NFL first down. And the first down for the 2024 season for the Chicago Bears to Keenan Allen, a new addition.
It took 3 drives, right? It took 3 separate times, but we were really excited to see that, and that was an awesome, just seeing Keenan also get that catch, that was pretty cool, and just that was the start of it, right? That was the start of the Bears season where it's like, okay, things are rolling, things are coming together. Exciting.
Yeah, so the next play, it wasn't the next play, a few plays later, I think this was probably, unfortunately, the worst play of the game for Caleb Williams. He did take a really bad sack. He tried, scrambling out left, find that open receiver, play Superman. but he did not. He got met by two of the Titans defenders, and Sebastian Joseph Day got a sack, and it was a 19-yard loss for the Bears offense, which is that's a pretty bad sack.
Yeah. It's let's just say it might be one of the worst sacks he gets this year. I don't expect that to happen again. The second he got that sack, all of us are saying, you got to learn to throw it. You got to just throw it out there and then take the down that you're at, because then it was 3rd and 29 after that point, and it's just not a pretty sight. But you know what? Again, learning curves, the way this rookie's going to go, so we got to get used to that.
Yeah, so already back to 2nd and 29 or whatever, it was 3rd or 29. Caleb just wanted to get down the field to gain some yards back from that sack. So we tried finding Rome Odunze for a pass in tight coverage, but unfortunately he did drop the pass. And unfortunately, because of that, we did have to punt it away. We were too far down the field, so it was Tory Taylor time back for the Chicago Bears coming out in the field.
The Titans, started clicking a little bit after that point. That's what got us worried as Bears fans. Will Levis completed a couple throws, and I will give it to Will. He did have quite a solid game. If it wasn't for the second quarter, or the second half, I mean, he was completing some good throws, and to a lot of receivers that we didn't know pretty much a lot about. I mean, I know Hopkins and Ridley weren't extremely noticeable in this game, and he was targeting a lot of the tight ends and a lot of the running backs. But after their drive, Levis had made a few throws, and then he completed an attempt. No, sorry, he handed off to Tony Pollard that had a 26-yard rush, and I remember that rush because that was
a good rush by Tony Pollard.
That was extremely good. Like he didn't do that all year last year for the Cowboys. Like he revamped, good system, good offense, and I know that they were the offensive line kind of helped them out with that a little bit. There just wasn't any help from us in the secondary. So at this point, it was 7-0, and we weren't that worried, right? We knew that there was going to happen one way or another. We just kind of wished that our offense clicked maybe a little bit earlier than this, because it just felt like our team was still a bit behind when their team finally got a good score in. But it was time for the Bears to take over. But Tyler, as you may remember at this specific point, one of our nightmares came back to reality, something that we've faced the last 3 years with.
The guy who I've had nightmares about every night, that he's still on the Chicago Bears roster. So Chicago Bears coaches had Velus Jones Jr. go out there to return the kickoff from the Titans after that that touchdown from Tony Pollard to make it 7-0. Velus Jones decided to muff the punt, and it was a bad muff because it was
a disgusting muff.
It went like 20 yards in front of him, and of course Velus could not catch up to the ball because if this was the old kickoff rules, I think he would have gotten that ball back, but it might have probably gone down right away. But since we have the new dynamic kickoffs now, where both the receiver and they're that close to each other, that's why the defenders are already that close. So Velus lost the ball.
He went right through his hands, hit him in the toe, and then hitting him on the toe, it just started bouncing this way, and it went the opposite direction. Yeah, it went like 20 yards into the hands of the defending team. So it was disgusting. It's something we're used to, something we understood. But I think that exact moment, I thought back to Hard Knocks, and I thought about how hard he worked, and I realized that this guy can only get so many second chances, and this for me would be my last second chance when it comes to kickoff returns or punt returns. I think that's something that DeAndre Carter did so much better, and so I don't see a reason why Velus needs to be in that position.
No, DeAndre Carter's that's what we got him for. Punts, he should be able to do kickoffs as well. And, Velus, I thought we've already, tested this experiment out last year, with the muff punts, the muff, obviously the kickoffs. So if the Bears management is smart, they're going to, that'll be the last time, because you can't get so many, if you keep getting these opportunities, that it could make or break the game. It could.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, on second down when the Titans took over, Darrell Taylor did get a sack on Will Levis, and that was his first sack in a Chicago Bears uniform since getting traded from Seattle, which is a huge.
He looks good.
He had a great game. We'll talk about the stats at the end of the game. Diving into detail with all these players, but Darrell Taylor got his first sack, and it was a great sack on Will Levis. Kind of going into that, the Bears defense, which was huge for them, they did held up that offense for the Titans. They didn't let them get into the end zone, after Velus Jones muffed the ball on the 23-yard line. The Titans, the Bears kept him to a field goal attempt, and it was a 40-yard attempt by Nick Folk, the Titans kicker, and it was a good attempt. So now at this point, Titans are up 10-0 with 14 minutes to go in the second quarter. So now we got to get that, the offense rolling at this point. You're already down 10-0. A touchdown is huge at this point, before getting the momentum rolling into the second half when you only have 14 minutes left in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so after they scored, we finally got a few more completions on the next drive after that for DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Caleb Williams. So the first good note that happened after that scoring drive that they just had was an 11-yard pass to DJ Moore for first down. This was nice because this kind of got Caleb into the flow of knowing who to target in what situation. You can kind of see him going through his progressions, and he usually hit his first option there with DJ Moore or Keenan. So that was a nice idea just to see that he's getting more comfortable. I didn't expect him to fully get comfortable this time. I mean, him playing at Soldier Field is still absolutely insane. And let's not forget about the fact that the Bears fans were booing for a good portion of that first quarter, which is unfortunate because it happens. But
I hate to say it, but they needed to boo them at that point. Me and you being diehard Bears fans, you hate to see a team get booed, but sometimes that kind of is like you wake up into reality, and be like,
it's an energy,
There's a reason they're booing. Is they paid money to see a win on opening, and this offense can't get rolling. But
exactly. But speaking of rolling, he went. Williams kept rolling, so he got a 9-yard pass to Keenan Allen, which is really fun to see because that's, again, we're getting more separation. He's targeting a lot of different receivers at this point. But then the running game usually kind of held us to stop because then there was a part where Ray would give it to DeAndre Swift in the third down or second down, and he would get negative yardage. That happened like 4 or 5 times. So that part was a bit underwhelming because I know, Shane Waldron definitely wanted it to go a different direction, but that's just the way that goes. So we lost that. 3 yards after that. But then on third down, we went for a long shot with DeAndre Carter, which is cool to see his arm, right? I don't think DeAndre Carter is that fast compared to other players. Like, I think if Tyler Scott was out there, Tyler Scott might have caught it, but Caleb definitely overthrew that, and that was more like a 10-yard overthrow. DeAndre Carter wasn't tight coverage, so I don't think he would have gotten the separation needed to catch that ball. But if we're going to look at the positives, it's a nice attention for Caleb to continue trying those deep passes because that's something that's going to help us out in the long run, like just getting those easy yards on a simple completion. But rookie troubles. What can you say? What can you say, Tyler? It's just the way it goes. We've been through this before. A couple of years ago, actually. So
it's being a rookie, in the NFL. You got get the kinks out. You know what I mean? Obviously playing the Titans week 1. I think that was a good team to play week 1. Not obviously, I'm not saying the Titans were a great team or a good team, but it's a good team because we kind of, the offense kind of fumbled the bag a little bit against a team that wasn't a high exploding offense, kind of like the Chiefs, like the Texans, or, just like any other, high explosive offense or Dolphins or like that. Because then this game, well, hopefully the defense would have held up, but this game would have probably been a little bit out of reach.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. So after that, again, Tory Taylor came onto the field, which was, we love seeing him, right? He's a great player, and I'm sure he did a great job, but I want to see a little bit more from the offense after that, especially if we're going to be taking a lot of losses or taking a lot of missed cues and stuff like that. So as much as I love Tory Taylor, I agree with Caleb. I want to make sure we see him as least as possible. And then the Titans on the next drive, unfortunately, rallied together another scoring drive, and I think this is when our hearts sort of sank. And I remember looking at you, Tyler, like every time we were both watching and mingling with our friends here and there, but after every single play, I'd kind of walk over to you and I'd be like, let's digest, because this sucks. Like, this really hurt.
Yeah.
But the big play that the Titans have was a 22-yard pass to Calvin Ridley. That pass was a pretty solid pass because it was, again, in not tight coverage. So at this point, the Bears defense was getting exhausted because the offense wasn't, taking that much time off the clock. So the defense was on there for at least 70% of most drives. And so they capped off the scoring drive with a 17-yard touchdown pass to Chigi Okonkwo, which is a player that I drafted last year and I had high hopes for. And this year I also was looking at him. So bittersweet, but mainly bitter because, again, this is not the way we wanted the first game to go, not in the first 2 quarters. But they burned almost 10 minutes on that drive, which was pretty deadly for the Bears at this point. So we were, looking at each other, thinking about how else can we get back into this game. And I don't know. At that point, I had pretty low hopes. What about you, Tyler?
10 minutes off the clock with a drive is huge, especially when you're down 10-0. And, they obviously, capped that drive off with the touchdown. If it would have been a field goal, that would have been one thing. Then you're up 13-0. But, getting that touchdown and, being up 17-0 for the Titans, and then looking at the Bears, it's a little rough, heading into halftime. Because, at this point, any points that the Bears can get potentially before halftime would be any good points, even if it's a field goal, because you got to get a little bit of momentum rolling with that offense, just a little bit. But once after that drive was over, there's less than 4 minutes on the game clock. And this will, with 4 minutes left, that will most likely be the final drive for the Bears, for the first half. And this was to start off, this possession. This was huge because, DeAndre Carter returned the kickoff in the end zone, is minus or -1 yards into the end zone. Side, let's not take this fair catch. I want to see what I can do with it. 67-yard kickoff return for DeAndre Carter right there.
That was awesome. And that's what we meant earlier. We're like, he had an incredible game. One of those each game, you're going to be the full-time starter. Like he definitely proved this point in week 1 where he, is most powerful, and that's the kickoff returns.
Yeah, so setting up, a 67-yard punt return, or I'm sorry, not punt return, a kickoff return. That was a huge play for, get the offense in a, better field position than back at the 25-yard line. So a few plays later, the Bears marched down the field a little bit with a 13-yard pass to DJ Moore. It was 11-yard pass to Rome Odunze. It was unfortunately fumbled, but thank God for Tevin Jenkins. He, picked up the ball and, kept that offense on that field and said, giving that ball over right to the Titans.
Thank God for both of them. I mean, I don't know if anyone watched that play out there, but I remember it bounced off the D-line. Rome, with his hops, he caught it. He jumped over the person, like timing it just perfectly to where he, mossed it over the person in front of him. But unfortunately, the second he got 2 feet on the ground, he got punched out. And thank God for Tevin. That play was disgusting for me. That play was just like all over the place. And I remember watching it being like this can't be real. I mean, if we're gonna have a 2-minute drive, then we can't start off in a play like that. But thank God that some of our players are reliable and to the point getting the ball and putting 2 feet on the ground. So ugly play, but they got the yards, right?
Yeah. So the Bears, getting that field position, we're hoping for that touchdown right here, because we're already, trailing, 17-0. Unfortunately, the Bears could not get in the end zone, but they did resort in a field goal. It was a 24-yard field goal by Cairo Santos, which was good. Great news for the Bears. So now they're only, I'm not saying only trailing, but, they're down 17-3 now. So at least they got some points going into the halftime. That's huge. Any points on the board is good points. So, heading into halftime, Dan, kind of discussing this, what were your emotions kind of going into halftime? I know what mine were, but what were your emotions going into halftime?
I thought that both sides of the ball didn't prove enough. I thought that the defense and the offense they struggled heavily, and I thought that there wasn't enough, drive to try to get this Titans offense or defense off the field. And that's the thing, at the end of the day, it was the Titans, right? This wasn't a team that was excelling. This wasn't a team that's a top 5 offense or top 5 defense. They're middle of the pack. So I think I was exhausted at just trying to figure out why the Bears were, playing horribly. And you're in a room full of Bears fans, one to three of them is going to be saying like really bad things about, Caleb not being the guy or the defense being a waste of time and stuff like that. So obviously I was heated, I was a bit upset at the situation, but I'm sure you can compare the same way, right?
Yeah, I had to go grab some chicken and go sit outside for a little bit to kind of calm my nerves. It was
chicken and going outside, yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed in the first half. Not gonna lie, I was kind of on the couch just watching the game. Like, is this? I'm not gonna say is this gonna be another year, but it was a bad first half for the Bears. The defense looked good. Obviously, they could have improved a little bit. Giving up 17 points in the first half, but that offense needed to click a little bit more. You need to get a little bit more points on the board than 3. Thank God, we had 3 points, but we need more defense, or I'm sorry, more points on that offensive end. So yeah, kind of rolling into that second half. Caleb in the offense got a first down with a 12-yard completion to DJ Moore for the first play of the second half. That's good play to start that second half.
Great
Get this
start. Yeah.
this offense rolling. Unfortunately for the offense, it was the only first down for that drive, which at this point I was
Yeah.
like, oh boy, not again.
Back to where we started, right? Same emotions.
Caleb did have one of those passes broken up due to a defender, getting in a hurry on him, hit him in the arm. The next play, the ball got batted in the air. Thank God it did not get intercepted. But yeah, the Bears did take a delay of game, a false start penalty on Braxton Jones after a blown block by the defender on Gerald Everett. And Caleb did take a sack for a 10-yard loss. So the offense at this point in the second half just, still seemed a little bit quite out of sync, a little bit. But
some things did change. Some things did change for the Bears after that halftime. And I think that's a lot coming from a defensive-minded coach. I think the coach kind of had the answers already before the second half even started. So things changed a little bit for the Bears, and I'm sure if you watched the game, you understood why this was such an important game for us historically. So the Bears defense came back to see what the opposing offense could bring at them this time around. But the next Titans drive, the Bears defense did do a great job by letting them only get one first down. So they didn't march all the way down the field. They obviously stopped short. And at this point, the Titans were trying to punt the ball back to us. And here's the thing about the Bears special teams and why I'm so impressed with this the way that side of the ball went this game. You might have watched the play, you might have not watched the play, but the Titans punt the ball back to us, and the punt was blocked by Daniel Hardy, which is a favorite, one of Tyler's favorite defensive ends going into this 2024 season.
Yeah, big preseason player.
Yeah.
He put up the plays in the secondary unit because obviously he did not play with the starters. He played with the secondary unit. And when he had his opportunities, he did really well. He had a lot of forced fumbles in the preseason. He had some sacks. Daniel Hardy really did show out. And having him on that special teams, he's a big rushing, capability with this special teams, especially with punts. Getting the block with Daniel Hardy and then Jonathan Owens tracking that ball down with the scoop and score to get the Bears their first touchdown of the afternoon. That's huge. That was a big momentum swing for the Bears.
Yeah, first touchdown of the year.
Huge.
Coming from defense, yeah. How crazy is that? But that was exciting. That was exciting because that obviously changed the shift a little bit. Was I tired for seeing the defense try to carry us back into a game again? A little bit. We've had our fair share of that, but I'm not going to say I wasn't excited about it because obviously the Bears defense is something that's very exciting to watch. It's something that we can always count on, especially with the way the team's built, right? Like Eberflus knows exactly how to get a defense energized. They know exactly how to get them ready for the second half. And so after that play, that was awesome. That's when Bears football was really back, right? The whole room got excited. Everyone started understanding, what the passion for being a Bears fan felt like again. It's just like, we're back in it. So that was cool. At this point, it was a close game again. Now, remember it being 17-0, the idea of it being a 10-17 game with still a little bit left in the third quarter, that was awesome. That was a good feeling because then, there's a bit of us just like, okay, what can the offense do? What can the offense bring for us?
Yeah, obviously getting that touchdown was huge for the Bears, especially, the defense was showing up this afternoon. The offense wasn't really clicking at all. That was a huge touchdown for the Bears. Getting us within one score, 17-10 was massive. The Bears defense on the next drive did a great job holding the Titans offense to a 3-and-out. Caleb and the offense, when they came back on the field, unfortunately could not secure a first down again. So they did punt the ball back to the Titans. Once again, this is another, trend for the Bears defense. 3-and-out. They got another 3-and-out once the Titans got the ball back. That's huge because that's, hopefully that could be a little bit of momentum for the Bears offense. Be like, we got to, get our head out of the gutter. We got to, get this rolling for, the offense. And then that next drive seemed like the Bears offense started to click a little bit. On a third down play, Caleb scrambled out of the pocket. It was a broken up play, could not find a receiver. He did scramble out of the pocket and rush for an 11-yard gain for a Bears first down. Big first down for the Bears.
Big first down, and that was also electric because seeing Caleb use his legs finally, that was an exciting push. I know there was a couple people in the room that needed a couple more rushing yards from Caleb to make some money on their end, but I was really happy just to see him use his legs and not entirely each game. We're used to that already as Bears fans. We're seeing the QB, move at a certain pace after getting his second read,
Yeah.
5 seconds in. So it was nice to see him use his legs finally, because in the preseason, he really impressed me with that as well, like his patience when it comes to running the ball. But
Yeah.
yeah, and what happened after that, Tyler?
Yeah, so they got a few more first downs on the drive, which is huge for the offense. There was a pass by Keenan Allen to get a first down. There was a rush by Travis Homer. It was a 4-yard rush to get another first down. And at this point, the Bears were saying at the 40-yard line, seeing what the Bears offense can do at this point. Unfortunately, they couldn't get any more field position after the 40-yard line. They did have a 5-yard rush from DeAndre Swift to get them a little bit more down the field, but they resulted in a Cairo Santos a 50-yard field goal attempt, which was good. Cairo Santos, performing well for the Bears for another year, which is great.
Yeah, big name. And so now we're at 13-17 at the point of the game, and
Yep.
my hopes are just getting a little bit higher. I really want to see an offensive touchdown, which we'll get to in a little bit if that happens or not. But I was really happy to see, again, special teams. Special teams is really making their mark in Chicago. They helped out just as much as the defense did for multiple drives, and so really excited about the way that team came up. And the next drive for the Bears defense is a huge opportunity to get the Bears the football back and to make sure that we can try to get a lead over the Titans. So,
Yeah.
as you can imagine, 13-17, that's a pretty close game. And in basketball terms, we'd call that maybe a 3-pointer away. And so that was pretty exciting. That was a pretty exciting moment for us, because we just felt we were back into it. And the Bears defense did only allowed one first down on the Titans, and they faced a 3rd and 6 situation here. And so this is probably one of my more favorite parts of the game as well, because I think we're talking about a player that really revamps this linebacker room and really revamps like just the way this defense is being held, and he didn't cost a lot. So Darrell Taylor, Darrell Taylor got another sack on Will Levis here. Levis ended up fumbling the football. TJ Edwards recovered it at the Tennessee 31-yard line, which was awesome, because that puts us back in a good position for the offense to try and go get another score here. So that was awesome. That was good. That was a good time, because I love this player. I think Poles killed it with getting this player.
Yeah, he barely. I believe he only had to trade a 4th-round pick for him. If I believe, maybe it was a 6th-round pick, but huge, pickup for the Bears. Darrell Taylor did have an afternoon in his first game as a Chicago Bear. Especially getting that fumble on Will Levis and with the TJ Edwards recovery. That was big defense from the Bears. Big defense. And now at this point, they're in Tennessee territory. It's time for the Bears to get some more points on the board. And the Bears unfortunately cannot secure a first down, and they had to settle for another field goal by Cairo Santos, which was good. It was a 48-yard attempt, so huge field goal attempt. At this point, the Bears are still trailing 17-16, and at this point, there's 9 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. So it seems like this is going to be a defensive game followed by field goal. Defense, field goal. Defense, field goal. That's kind of like, feels like that's going to be the the formula for game one, because this offense doesn't look like it was clicking at all. But now this is a huge opportunity for the Bears, because the Bears defense has some momentum. They need to get this stop, because being down 17-16 with 9 minutes left, Titans can try to kill the clock. It's the point where they could kill the clock with 9 minutes left. And then on 3rd and 6, Will Levis was about to be sacked. This was the craziest play of the whole entire game.
Yep.
Will Levis was about to be sacked. He did not want to take that sack. So what he tried to do? He tried flipping the ball like this. He tried just throwing it up to Tyler Boyd on the sideline. But Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback for the Bears, read that play really well. And he ran in front of the ball, intercepted the ball, took it to the house for 43 yards, pick 6, getting the Bears another touchdown on the board for the defense. And obviously,
that finally gave us the lead, right? That finally gave us the lead there. So that was like going down 17-0. The defense had all the work. Defense and special teams. Where's the offense at this point? So the offense did have one good shining moment here. I think this was Caleb's most confident throw all day. So the Bears wanted to go for 2 at this point, just to make it a touchdown game. And so they had a 2-point conversion, and it was caught by Swift. Pretty good play. I mean, it was beautifully read. I think the Shane Waldron finally gave Caleb like an easy pass, an easy throw to try to get a completion done. And so I was happy to see Caleb was excited. He was screaming. He was happy. He was passionate. That was a cool part of the day, because that was we're up a touchdown now, under 10 minutes in the 4th quarter. And again, this is, I think, my favorite photo of all year, of Will Levis going like, dude, like how How incredible of that is that
It
for
was
a
all,
feeling for a Bears fan, right?
and I think somebody edited it. It was like all faded in the background. It was just
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
was a cool edit on Twitter that I saw. But
yeah,
yeah, so Bears are finally on top for the first time in the game, 24-17, up by a touchdown. That was a big play by the Bears defense, huge to get us up by a touchdown. Now there's a little bit of stress off our shoulders that we're finally up in the game. I know when just being up is obviously against the Titans who are already leading us 17-0. This was huge for the Bears. This was huge. And then
it's exciting.
now after this, there was not really any offense clicking on either, or the Titans had punted the ball. The Bears punted the ball back to them after they couldn't get the offense rolling. And the Titans now had the ball. They had 2:20 left on the clock. There's pretty much the last opportunity for the Titans to score. The Bears defense did held them up. They forced the Titans to a 4th and 10 opportunity to keep the game alive. And Will Levis sent a deep ball down the field intended for Tyler Boyd. Jalen Johnson, once again, reads it well, like he has been for deserving that, extension money for the Bears. And he did intercept the ball from Will Levis to basically secure the win for the Bears and basically secure the win for the Bears defense. It was a win on the Bears defensive part.
Totally. I mean, I wouldn't say anything else. I think the offense, we're not going to give grades just yet, but the defense, A++. That was quite the performance, quite the comeback, and I think it made the Titans' offensive staff maybe a little bit crazy. It drove them a little bit crazy because they thought they did a couple good moves this offseason to really create a dynamic offense for Will Levis, but Bears defense is going to do what Bears defense does, and let me tell you, Jalen Johnson finished off that game perfectly. He himself, he wasn't that large of a part of it because, I mean, that's what you want to see from your cornerback. You don't want him to be a large part of it because that means that the players aren't catching passes near his direction. So that was awesome to see him cap it off for us. I remember he caught the ball and he was jogging around a little bit and he finally took a knee and that's when it hit. Well, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I think we just won this game. Like that is just phenomenal feeling. Feeling. Came down to the last few minutes, I will say. So Titans did give up a pretty good fight. Their offense wasn't extremely well put together, but it was enough to create a good game versus Bears defense.
Yeah. Bears defense showed up that game. Obviously, we talked about it this whole entire podcast, but they did show up that game when needed most. Interception by Tyreek Stevenson. You had that blocked punt by Daniel Hardy for scoop and score, the 2 touchdowns of the afternoon, the field goals when we were in position. And then obviously this defense just really, showed up well. Offense, it was week 1. It's just kind of trying to figure out all the pieces with week 1. Caleb, obviously he did say something in Hard Knocks like, I never get never let it get to me. But it did look like he did have the jitters that game. You could kind of tell he was I could notice in preseason he was always looking at every side of the field. In week 1, I noticed that he was only looking at a few targets on the one side, either left side or the right side. So, big win from the Bears when the offense couldn't click. 24-17, home opener against the Titans, and I could not be more happy. A win's a win, Dan. A win is a win.
A win's a win, and us as Bears fans, especially when it's week 1, we're gonna take it because that just puts up higher in the leaderboards. Unfortunately, there's 2 other teams in the NFC North that did also get a win, so it puts us 3rd in the position on the standings currently, but. Yeah, cool. I was thrilled. I mean, the game was technically supposed to be a loss after the first half. So, how lucky are we? How lucky are we, Tyler, to finally get a win from that? Bears defense showed up
after last year's week 1 devastation to the Green Bay Packers, which I still have nightmares about that game. But it was week 1. Getting a win on week 1 is always a huge step in the right direction. And especially it's a big step in the right direction when the Bears can get a win week 1 and their rival, the Green Bay Packers, did not get a win week 1, which is huge for the Bears. Huge. Every team in the NFC North did get a win except for the Packers. So the next day, so obviously on Sunday was the game. On Monday, we did wake up with some weird news that Rome Odunze did get hurt in that game. We did see there was actually a few plays that we kind of saw. There was one play where Velus Jones was running with the ball. It looked like he ran into the defender. Defender fell on Rome Odunze looked like he got hurt. There was actually another play though where he was blocking, and then you see he kind of walks off to the sideline. I was kind of diving into Twitter trying to figure out what happened for him to get injured, but we did learn he did hurt his knee, blocking on a play in the fourth quarter. The most thankful news as Bears fans is we're like, oh, as soon as you hear knee injury,
knee or
ACL.
MRI, right?
Yeah. ACL. He needs an MRI. If it was ACL damage, this would have been bad. But grateful news that we found out it was only a grade 1 knee sprain. He's considered week to week, and he did report that he did say he felt a pop in that knee. But he did today for practice on Wednesday. He did report to practice. And he will do some conditioning on the sideline. I will go to Twitter after this to see if he did do any like route running. If I took a wild guess, probably not. He's just going to be on the sideline. You guys attend to that knee. This is big. Pushing through it is not the best decision. We need him for the long haul of the 16 games for the long haul of the regular season. Not let him
So pretty much that's the one thing that came away from this win that was pretty weird news. Obviously, it wasn't horrible news. It wasn't spectacular news. But not many other injuries slated for these players. I mean, offensive line stayed healthy, which I was really excited about. So that was the one thing we came away from this game that was just like, ooh, like that sucks. That's a loss. But you know what? There's got to be another position for Caleb. He only targeted Rome once or twice, so it's not that Rome isn't a productive player. It's more so that I think Caleb's got a lot more to work on when it comes to throwing and getting proper targets to his receivers.
Yeah.
And if Rome can take a week or two to become healthy again, or even if it's just this week to come back on Sunday night, that's fine. But there's a little bit more I need to see from the throwers first to make sure that the receivers are going to be fully in the spotlight there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was grateful news for the Bears. Obviously not grateful that we found out Rome got injured, but grateful that it's only a grade 1 strain to his knee. He should be back very soon. If I took a wild guess, he probably will not be back this week. I was seeing reports he might sit out a Sunday. Maybe he'll try to tough it out and play against, in a primetime game because it is if it wasn't a primetime game, I'd say no, he's probably not. But maybe he'll try to tough it out if it's Sunday night, obviously, against the Texans. So, real quick to, kind of end off the podcast, let's just go over, some final stat lines with some of the players in week 1. I know with the last podcast, we did do over-unders with each of the players. I did look back. Every under did hit with that one because the offense didn't really click at all. Every under did hit. Caleb passing yards, all these different over-unders we talked about. The unders did hit for all of them. So, Dan, you were pretty good with guessing with the unders. I was just a greedy Bears fan. I'm hoping for the overs for everything. It
was unfortunately rookie debut, so part of me just wanted to say this is going to be underwhelming, and I didn't want to specifically say that we were going to win that game. It went a little bit worse than I had imagined for an offense to look like, just because, again, you expect the number 1 pick to immediately come in, especially when you see a player like Jane Daniels, who had a pretty good upright game, and he a little bit more of a rusher on the rushing side there, but his first game, but I can't judge. I think he did have a pretty good game. So Caleb's first stat line, if you don't mind me, Tyler, saying 14 completions for 29 attempts, 93 yards, which his over-under for yardage was 175. So he pretty much hit that in half. He got 2 sacked twice and then 0 interceptions, which interceptions I think is another key part to look at because especially in his college career, he was pretty good with the ball, not giving it up. So I definitely wanted to see that his first game and make sure that he wasn't making any stupid plays. The 2 sacks he got, I think would be just as bad as the interceptions would have been.
Yeah.
Those sacks were pretty poorly pressed, and he just didn't, have the right mindset on how to escape from that or throw the ball out. So underwhelming. Yeah. What can I say? There's not much to talk about when it comes to Caleb, but this first game, let's just hope that this second game can kind of get him into a better comfort level. Which it's going to be a primetime game, so I'm not exactly sure how comfortable he's going to feel. But either way, that's the stat line going from Caleb. Going into the rushing room, DeAndre Swift, 10 carries for 30 total yards. He did get 4 carries that were lost for yards. So If you wanted to think that the number would have been a little bit higher to match his over/under, I think you would have been correct. I think there's many opportunities that he will get that number. He'll average 45 to 65 normally. And Caleb rushed 5 times for 15 yards, which is good. 5 times, maybe a little bit more than I expect him to run normally. 15 yards, I think that's exactly what we can expect from him. I think he's going to take a couple first downs here and there, especially in Shane Waldron's offense. Like he's going to lead his quarterback to get a few tush pushes here and there, whatever. But not bad stat lines for the running backs for a bad game.
I'm going to cut you off, Dan. I do see some in the chat saying, "Can we talk about fantasy?"
Oh, someone wants to talk about fantasy football. Interesting.
Yeah, Brant wants to talk about fantasy football, and he's trying to figure out
who. Lucky day.
So he wants to figure out if he needs to start C.J. Stroud or Matthew Stafford. So I did just look it up real quick. Matthew Stafford is going up. Oh, I just lost the page. Oh my gosh, hold on one second.
Some pretty good options there.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that Puka Nacua is out 4 weeks or more, and versus an Arizona team, which the Arizona defense is not that great. So I do see Matthew Stafford getting similar numbers to what he did the week before, which I believe was 21 or 22 points. I do like Stafford. CJ Stroud worries me, especially against this Bears defense. What do you think, Tyler? What's your position on that?
I would never say start a quarterback against Bears defense because I'm hoping for the best with the Bears defense. But Matthew Stafford is going against Arizona. I did kind of look it up to see what people recommend. A lot of people obviously recommend CJ Stroud in prime time against the Bears. If you're looking for, hopefully some good points, I'd say CJ Stroud in the, against the Bears and in prime time. But I never like to put a quarterback against the Bears because I don't want to ever jinx anything. I'm always hoping for the best.
Here's what I'll say about that. I think. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let me just finish up on this.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud and against the Bears defense. I think that's going to be a lower scoring game than what we originally thought. I think it's going to look a lot to the same game we had last week. So I think expect a lot from Joe Mixon here. I wouldn't expect a whole lot from CJ Stroud. I think I'd still take Stroud over Matthew Stafford, but I do know that the Arizona defense is pretty weak, especially since they gave up the same kind of comeback that the Titans did against the Bears when they played the Bills this last Sunday. So I'm going with CJ. If you went with Stafford, I would totally understand. I think he hits the 20 points that he originally got last week as well.
And damn, we have another question in the chat. Yeah, I'll throw it up right here. Do you think we're going to regret drafting Rome as a wide receiver 3 instead of a lineman? This is a good question. I really do think this is a good question because I know a lot of people, when I was going into the draft originally, I really thought the Bears were going to take a edge rusher. I thought they were going to take, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, the guy from the Vikings. Oh my gosh. I forgot the edge rusher that they drafted, who actually slipped pretty far in the draft, who I thought the Bears were. Oh, Dallas Turner, just from top of the top.
Dallas Turner, yeah.
I do think I think Rome is still the pick for the Bears at number 8. Number 9. I really do think he is going to be a great talent for the Bears. Watching him in Washington, just the way he is against contested catches, in my opinion, he's going to be like the next Keenan Allen in the league. Just the way he is. He has to bulk up a little bit, kind of like Keenan Allen, but he is great in contested catches. He did kind of have the week 1 nerves kind of get to him. It is week 1. He's a rookie. But I do think Rome is the safest pick at number 9. Looking at the other linemen that the different linemen, offense and defense, the Bears could have taken, I just don't think there was anyone. If Joe Alt would have slipped to us, that would have been probably the best pick. But I do think Rome is the safest pick for the Bears. I think he's going to be a stud for the Bears. Him having his knee injury, it's a very unfortunate. Not his fault that Velus landed on the back of his leg, or he did tweak it on a blocking play. But I do think Rome is the safest bet. He's a stud at wide receiver. He's a big body. He's going to help complement Keenan Allen. And who knows if Keenan Allen is going to be part of the Bears next season. We didn't get the contract extension with him yet. He did say he does want to be a Bear, and he doesn't need $35 million to be be part of the Bears. So I do think Rome is the safest bet at number 9.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think, to keep it short, I think Rome is definitely the guy that we would have picked all over again if we did have to draft. I mean, we saw J.C. Latham. We played against him with the Titans, and he didn't have that incredible of a game. I definitely don't think we would have went offensive lineman if we didn't go Rome Odunze. So I do think we would have went on the defensive side. Looking at the way this team was, I think it's about time that we made 2 back-to-back offensive picks. So
yeah,
I don't regret it. I think I agree with what Tyler said. Keenan Allen being the biggest player to digest from this. Like, is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? I don't regret it. I think the only way that we regret it is if we end up seeing this offense still take another step forward,
Yeah.
and Rome isn't a huge piece of that. Then at that point I would regret it, just because I know the defensive side would have helped a little bit with a ninth pick. But I'm sticking with Rome. I think Rome
Yeah.
was the guy to get.
Yep, I agree. Thanks for the questions, Brant. We appreciate it a lot. So yeah, just kind of wrapping up the game with the stat lines we had. We did talk about, obviously, leading receiver was DJ Moore, 5 catches for 36 yards, huge. Leading tackler for the Bears was TJ Edwards. He had 15 total tackles, 10 solo tackles, and 2 tackles for loss. Big game for TJ Edwards. He was a stud all of last season, and he did have a really good game in week 1. That's big, and yeah. So let's do honorable player mentions in game 1. We did talk about him a lot. Darrell Taylor did have a great first game in the Chicago Bear uniform. 8 total tackles, 7 solo tackles. He had 3 pressures, 2 big sacks, and 1 forced fumble, which was a game-changing play for the Bears. Game-changing.
I know, yeah, that guy was a steal for us. I mean, it's just week 1, but I do think the amount he impacted us week 1 is enough to pay him for this entire season. I think he's proved enough, and he's a monster. I mean, the way he moves in the pocket, like he immediately follows the person in front of him, and they're very scared to go against him. So I think going into week 2, that's a player that the Texans are going to monitor a little bit more, knowing that his name is kind of getting more mentioned here and there.
Yep. Yeah, a few more honorable mentions we have for game 1. We have Tory Taylor. Obviously, we don't like to say punters for honorable mentions, but he was our 4th round pick. He did have 6 punts, 207 total punting yards, which is huge for a punter on 6 punts, 45-yard average punt, and he had 3 punts go inside of the 20. So I know one of those was so close to, getting down on the 1. Just had an awkward roll, but big game for Tory Taylor being the new punter for the Bears. A few other players, Dan. You want to go into the next player?
Of course, no problem. So we're talking here special teams, right? I've been preaching special teams all day. So aside from Tory Taylor, Cairo Santos, which is one of the players that we signed earliest in the deals when Poles first became one of the managers here in Chicago. He was 3 for 3 on field goals, which we can expect often. I think he only missed 2 field goals all last season. The longest being 50 yards, and he totaled 10 total points for the Bears, which is pretty impressive from a kicker. A lot of kickers played well on Sunday, but I think he's one of the more underrated names that you don't hear from. And then back to DeAndre Carter, he had 5 punt returns, and his longest kickoff return being a 67-yard gain. Huge player. I think we're going to hear his name a lot more. Velez, I would be surprised if we see him in a primetime game get any primetime action for special teams. I do think he receives, a few rushes here and there, but I think we're going to be hearing a lot more DeAndre Carter, especially Sunday night. Jalen Johnson had the best PFF grade for cornerbacks in week 1. He had 1 catch allowed on 3 targets and 1 interception. I believe he had a 92.5 rating, which was a top 10. It was top 10 of the week. He was at number 7.
Well-deserved money for Jalen Johnson.
Extremely well-deserved money. He is a stud, and every time I hear anybody talk about this person being the best cornerback, right, they're talking to Sauce Gardner, they're talking Pat Surtain. I just keep thinking here, I go, listen, he let 1 catch. There was 1 catch thrown his way. That's it. So I think that's such an impressive stat from Jalen Johnson first weekend.
Yeah.
Tyreek Stevenson had interceptions along with Jalen Johnson, and Tyreek Stevenson was actually named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week, along with 2 other players. I believe it was the kicker from San Fran, and then I forgot who the third option was there, but he was a stud, especially coming back his sophomore year. So he is definitely an impressive player. He's a player that you're going to want to look out for on the defensive side this year. Having him opposite of Jalen Johnson is just such a hit, because that guy is the same level. He's got the same opportunities, the same strength. Yeah. So that was really exciting to see. And then TJ Edwards, obviously with a fumble recovery. We can always count on the linebackers to have strong progressions in the defensive games, right? Especially after the first half. So I think players like TJ Edwards and Edmonds and all these in Sanborn, like they're gonna get their reps in and they're gonna get some sort of impressive stats at the end of each game. So very happy with those guys. Very happy with that side of the ball. Special teams killed it and defense did even better. So that's all we can hope for.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's go over just some other player stats real quick. Just some, key players for the Bears. We've been talking about offseason, new additions to the Bears. What did they do in week one? So Keenan Allen did see 11 total targets. It's a lot of targets from Caleb. So it looks like DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are kind of Caleb's go-to targets to start off, the season. He had 4 catches for 29 yards, so not a huge afternoon for Keenan Allen, but he did have 4 catches, so that's good. Rome Odunze did catch his first NFL catch, which is good for him. Good, really good for him. He did have 11 yards on that catch. He only had 1 reception the whole entire game, unfortunately. And this is a big stat line for me. We'll kind of discuss that going into the next podcast, kind of what the Bears need to do against to kind of, prepare for the Texans to hopefully get that win against the Texans. Cole Kmet only had 1 catch for 4 yards on 1 target. I think that was,
tight ends. I mean, a lot has to do with the offense, the way the offense operated. I would love to see him do more this weekend, and I do think he will. Big body receiver, he's usually going to be open 50% of the time during each play. So, and he did target him a lot during the preseason. So that's something I'd be excited to see. Get a little more reps in.
Yeah, and then the last stat line, just kind of talking about the other running backs kind of in the room. We have Velus, we have Travis Homer, and we have Khalil Herbert. They only saw 2 carries apiece. DeAndre Swift did take the major workload, which I'm very happy about because we did sign him to that huge contract in the offseason, and that he does deserve the bulk load of the carries. He does.
I agree.
Yeah. So, to kind of just wrap up, some player yays and some player nays to kind of talk about with week one. Some yays with the Bears. Offensive lineman Darnell Wright had a big game. He allowed 0 sacks when he was in, 0 pressures and 0 hurries. So great for Darnell Wright. Huge.
Wants to protect his quarterback. Incredible pick, right, at number 9 last year. So he, no, he was at number 10 last year. Absolute stud. Yeah, very, very happy with the way he played. And I would put DeAndre Carter on this list as well for yays. I think he's a player that came in for a position that we didn't have much experience in. So I think he's definitely a step in the right direction when it comes to special teams. I'm really happy about his position on the Bears.
Yeah. Another yay for the Bears, and the final yay that I have is the Bears defense. They just showed out the whole entire afternoon. That we talked about, obviously, all the plays they made. Bears defense in general, huge yay for them. Huge yay. Now some not yays. Now some nays for week one. Yeah, Coleman Shelton, the center, kind of swapping in and out. He did not really perform that well for the Bears. He allowed 1 sack, 1 hurry, and 2 pressures when he was pass blocking. When he was run blocking, he was doing okay, but when he was pass blocking, he had no idea which defender to. He let a few defenders go right by him. He did not have a good afternoon for the Bears. And now, Dan, who's the other nay that we've discussed a little bit?
We all know. Also on special teams, it's a player that we mentioned earlier, Velus Jones Jr. How many second chances can this guy get? I don't want to badmouth anybody because obviously he did make the team ahead of other players and other starters that I think could have made the team as well. He has a position, so he has a strict position as a running back, but I just don't see him taking any punts or kickoffs anymore. I can't.
Yeah,
I don't want it.
He needs to stick to that running back game. Obviously that's why he made the team is for a running back. Yeah, no more punts, no more kickoffs. We've learned our lesson week one. We can't have a game be decided by something that Velus Jones does on a kickoff or a punt. So let's just wrap up. What's your takeaway with week one, Dan?
My takeaway, I think, is get Caleb more comfortable. I'm happy with the way that everything turned out. Again, Caleb didn't throw any interceptions. He did only throw for under 100 yards, and he completed only under 50% of his passes. But I think the Bears' offense needs to help Caleb get comfortable, especially before Sunday. And they got to give him some opportunities to make longer passes, make some more strides in that. Maybe go for better rushes, understanding defense more, and just saving some third downs. We after the third quarter, as I think when we completed our first third down, so there wasn't much opportunity when it comes to the comfort level of Caleb Williams, but I'm happy with the way the game went.
Yeah.
I think if we lost, it would be somewhat of the same feeling, just because it's like the offense still needs to show us what was proven this offseason.
Mhm.
With all these great additions, they demand a little bit of respect. So I think I'm just waiting for that moment of respect where people can finally sit there and go, Caleb was the right move. Keenan was the right move. Week 1, it didn't show out a lot. I think the defense is always going to save us no matter what. So I'm happy with the game, the way the game went. I think my one takeaway is that get Caleb comfortable before it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Caleb needs to, get in that comfort level, being the number 1 pick for the Bears. It's just he had that jitters week 1. You could tell he was just not really himself like the preseason games, but he will get rolling. He will.
Mhm.
And we need him to get rolling in week 2 in the primetime game against the Texans. My takeaways real quick is that this Bears defense, just like all the other years, is electric. It's awesome. Seeing all these special, and especially the special teams as well. They're electric right now. And it's great to see it, Monsters of Midway, going to work. And we just love to see that. Torrey Taylor is the real deal with punting. He, proved it at Iowa. He's proven it with the Bears with the first game, having over 200, total punting yards. And he's pretty spectacular with punting. Another takeaway I have is that Caleb does not, he did this in college a lot just because his offensive line wasn't that well. He does not need to try to, be the superhero on scramble plays like he tried to do, and he took that 19-yard sack, which was not a good play by Caleb. But he needs to know when to throw the ball away, and he did have that 19-yard sack, which was bad. But he'll learn. He'll learn. He's a rookie, and he'll learn from his mistakes. And then, I think that from week 1, just kind of see what could get this offense kind of clicking. When in doubt, run the ball. That's what
True.
we kind of have seen that over the years with the Bears. When, Jordan Howard was part of the Bears, we ran the ball and got a lot of yardage with him. When Montgomery was part of the Bears, now we have DeAndre Swift making $24 million for 3 years. We need to take advantage of his run capabilities. Even the pass game, that's why we got him. He's a great pass catch. I think he only had 1 target with in pass catch. So we need to have some design plays for DeAndre Swift to, get this offense rolling a little bit. Even if it's just rushing plays, DeAndre Swift needs to be in part of this game. So
Definitely.
Yeah. So we discussed a lot with week 1. And week 1 is week 1. We got to see a little bit more with the offense and the defense as well. When we do these podcasts more in the future, recapping all these weeks, we'll kind of slim down the details a little bit. Just with week 1, we kind of wanted to, talk about, what plays Caleb made, what plays, the defense made. We just kind of wanted to, just dive a little bit more into detail with that. But, when the next weeks roll by, we'll kind of slim it down a bit. But,
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's week 1, right? So there's a lot of things that we need to talk about. Same thing we did last year. There's just so many levels to week 1.
Yeah.
We finally had the opportunity to watch someone play 48 minutes, and that specific someone is Caleb Williams. So there was impressive strides, and there were strides that he fell backward on. So I'm just really excited to see what happens this Sunday. As everyone may know, it is orange. We are wearing orange this Sunday night against Houston Texans. So that is going to be a very important game for Chicago. And I'm going to be skeptical. I'm hoping that the offense can kind of get some things running through practice this week just to make sure they're ready for Sunday. So I don't know what to say, Tyler, but I'm excited to bear down.
I'm excited to bear down once again. So in the next few days, either tomorrow or Friday, we're going to release it. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast, kind of just, previewing week 2. We'll kind of dive into what we think the Bears need to do in order to get a win against the Texans in week 2. Then we'll also kind of dive into, we kind of discussed it afterwards, kind of talking about the over and the unders with that FanDuel brings out. So we'll kind of say what they'll do or what they have out, and we'll kind of predict our over and the under with all the different receiving yards, passing yards, rushing yards, all that other stuff. But week 1 is finally it was finally here. It's over. Bears, got the win against the Titans, which is huge. I have to say the Bears defense got the win against it and the special teams as well. Week 2 is big for the Bears against the Texans in prime time. So next few days we'll come out with, we'll let you guys know when we're live streaming as well. Coming up with a new podcast for week 2 discussing the Texans. And like I said, we always appreciate all the listens and the everyone watching, and obviously the comments we're getting too. We love discussing anything. You guys can always hit us with a comment, and we'll obviously discuss it. We love all the different different comments that we get.
Yes, please reach out. Reach out to us during the. We'd love to hear your messages and answer any questions you have. As you may know, we're both fantasy football fanatics, and we both have won fantasy football championships. We both have belts under our belt technically. So please reach out with any questions you might have, and we'll just give your honest opinion. Like we answered a couple questions about Rome today, so anybody is welcome to say anything about anybody, and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. So yeah, please reach out.
Yeah. All right. We appreciate all the listens and follows, guys. We'll let you guys know when we're going to be coming out with the week 2 preview against the Texans. That was recapping week 1 today. So we appreciate everything. Thank you guys so much. And as always, bear down.
Thanks, guys.